How would you describe an Immaculate Heart of Mary congregation to a person who did not know anything about it?
Well, let's see. We're a group of women dedicated to the Gospels, and we range anywhere from about 25 years old to 100 years old. We've been around since 1845, and we do all kinds of ministry. We do education, we do some hospital counseling, we do spiritual direction. We've been in different countries. We've been in Africa, and Puerto Rico, and Brazil. And actually, we're made up of about 4 different communities. We have ourselves, we have a community in Scranton, Pennsylvania, one in Philadelphia, and then the sisters in Baltimore.
What is the mission of IHM?
Well, you could probably get that more succinctly off of our website, but it's basically to spread the gospel, and we have a strong tradition of justice, teaching and justice work.
Why did you choose this order?
I really like them for the combination of spirituality and action. When I met them when I was younger, we had 5 different communities teaching in our high school, and that was the community that I liked best. They were into all kinds of different things, and they seemed to have a lot of energy, and I admired their prayer style.
What differentiates IHM from other orders?
Well, that usually the different charism, we call them the gifts of the church, we call them charisms, usually come from the founders. And our founders were the Redemptorists with St. Louis Gelée. Oh, actually, you have to change that. St. Augustine. It's not St. Augustine either, you got to change that too. Alphonsus Liguori. And then one of his priests came over from Europe and started us. They were working with the French immigrants down Monroe along the River Raisin. And they wanted to teach the young women there. So they started a community. They had a sister come out from Baltimore, and that's how the community got started. And so we have kind of the Redemptor spirituality as our background, and we follow a lot of what they do, as opposed to the Mercies who follow Catherine.
What are the steps to becoming an IHM sister?
Well, nowadays we like them to have done 4 years of college and gotten their degree, and then they come to us for anywhere from a year, maybe to 3 years, just to experience us. Sometimes they might physically come, or they might spend some time with other IHM sisters. And then they come for what we call the novitiate period. They study for a year our theology and spirituality, and are very close with the sisters at that point. It's kind of a time for formation into who we are and what we do. And then they usually spend a year beyond that at some ministry with some of our sisters. So it's usually a 2-year period.
Does it matter what their degree is in when they first come, or is it usually in theological studies?
No, it varies. It varies, and nowadays we have more choice about what we do study and where we do go. See, in the old days, they pretty much wanted to tell you what to study and what schools to go to, so they would know what was missing in those schools, and if they didn't have enough sisters, like for instance, teach English, they would have some of the new ones study English.
How do you think IHM has made a difference in the community?
How the congregation has made a difference in the broader community?
Yeah.
Well, we're very widely known for education. In fact, we were one of the first schools that sent some of our young sisters to university. The sisters never went to get a major or master's or a PhD. And actually, the canons of the church basically say you can't do that once you enter the community. So what our leaders did years ago was hold the new ones back into the formation period before they became novices. They let them continue their undergrad degree first. That's why we started Marygrove College, because we could populate it with PhDs that were our own sisters. And that movement, we call it the Sister Formation Movement, that spread across the country. Other communities did the same thing that we did, so that was a great contribution. That was a basis for almost all the Catholic schools in the country. That's pretty broad.
We saw in our research that the order has many missionary groups. Have you been on any of these missions?
No, the farthest I've been was New Mexico. And I was, actually I worked in the laboratory, I was a medical technologist. And while I was out there, it was so rural that I became an EMTA, which is emergency medical technician for the ambulance. So I made a lot of ambulance runs. It was pretty interesting. We did plane crashes and things like that.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know exactly what people do when they go on missions, though?
Oh, it's pretty much work what we do here. It might be a certain poverty level of people, but most of it's pastoral work, much like you find in our own parishes. We run sometimes what we call base communities. People come and they might read, or if they can't read, they might share their gospel stories with each other. We help with the liturgies.
What is the everyday schedule for an IHM sister?
Now it varies. We used to be pretty cloistered, I guess you'd call it. You get up in the morning about 5 o'clock and you'd have individual prayer. Then you had group prayer with the people you lived with. Then you went usually over to the parish for the Mass, and you usually started school by 8 o'clock. So that was quite a bit in the morning. Most of the time the sisters came home during lunch hour to eat together as a community. When they came in from school, they had another prayer time. Then they had dinner and prepared for the next day, and had another prayer time before they went to bed. And so that's why they call us pretty cloistered. I mean, we basically went to school and came home.
Wow.
Now it's as different as the individual sisters are.
Is there any other information you would like to say or tell us about?
Well, let's see. I don't think so. I think your questions were very good and
Okay.
covered most of it. One of the things we've done recently is we have a huge mother house down in Monroe. And we really did that in the last 5 years to win this LEEDS Award, which is a state sustainability in architecture. So it's all built on green. We covered like all the tiles and almost everything and reused them. It was a huge plan. We have 220 sisters that live down there.
Wow.
So you can imagine it's been a big chapel. So it's a big building. So some of the things we did there, the plumbing, the heating, was brand new to some of the plumbers, and they had to learn how to do it. So we were pretty proud of that effect. You know, we recycle all the water that we use goes out into the ground and then comes back through the ground to get purified, and that's what we flush the toilets with and things like that. So we've saved, it's always heated at the core temperature of the earth, so it's, and just by doing the baffles and things like that, you can get it warmer or cooler. So like in the summer it's like having air conditioning, in the winter you have heat.
Wow.
So that saves a lot of money.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, those are all of our questions, so thank you
All
for
right.
answering them.